Welcome back, guys. This is part 3 of the 3-part series of flying MSFS 2020's fly-by-wire A320, and in this we will be learning how to land. So right now we are at about 63 nautical miles from our destination airport, which is Heathrow International Airport, EGLL, and we are at 9,000 altitude right now. So I have descended already to some extent, but in case you want to know how to know when to descend, so we have the fly pad which we can use. So click on sync to sync the current altitude, and with our target altitude as 3,000, we have to start our descent in 19 nautical miles. So what we have to do, we have to be at 3,000 feet before we reach the destination airport. So let's start descending. So let's set our altitude as 3,000, and we can start our descent. Alright, so what we need to take care of is look at the METAR information for our destination airport, and we have to set our barometric pressure. So this is where we need to enter our barometric reading, which is 1016 QNH, and we are good to go. Oops, it's not QFE, it's QNH. Yes, so we are descending at a decent rate, and things look seemingly okay. So we need to just wait to get to point. So this is where the point I'm talking about. So this is where we expect to capture the glide slope, and that USR waypoint is taking us off for no good reason. And what I'll do, I'm thinking of turning on the approach mode as we get closer to those waypoints which are in line with the airport. So our landing lights are on, and let's turn on the seatbelt signs and the no smoking sign as well. In about 5 nautical miles we'll be making our left turn, and let's turn on the landing system information. Let's do it for both the sides. This will show us the frequency for our ILS runway, and that's, you can see it's available there, 110.30, and our diamonds for the glide slope and the localizer. So we are starting our turn. You know, this USR waypoint is just acting as a source of pain for me, and it's trying to speed up the descent. I want to set the vertical speed. So if it wasn't for this USR waypoint, we probably would have lined up straight with the airport instead of making left turn. But anyways, it is what it is, and we have a way to a workaround for this situation. What I'm thinking of doing is, you know, as we get closer to those points, waypoints that are lined straight with the airport, we can turn on the approach mode, and depending on if our plane captures the localizer, our plane will start following it instead of following any further waypoints. including that USR. So for some reason plane stopped descending, and it's seemingly it's doing fine now. It has been very difficult to fly in the development version of the fly-by-wire. I can only fly with standard version. So you see the diamond for the localizer has appeared, and what we can do, we can turn on the approach mode in the hope that we don't have to fly all the way to that USR point and then turn back towards the airport. And it actually is following, so the localizer is also turning towards the center, and that is because it is trying to help us line up with the runway. So that saved us a few nautical miles and unnecessary number of turns that could have caused pain. So do not worry, I've added flaps. I'm going to slow down. The plane is slowing down anyway. Let's turn off the alarm. That was an overspeed alarm because we cannot lower the flaps below 230 knots. And what I should have done, I should have used the speed brakes to slow down first and then add flaps, because adding flaps on beyond the recommended speed limits could damage the flaps and the plane. So let's add flaps too. It's causing the same, but it won't do anymore, I promise. We have to slow down because our plane is still in alignment with the runway, and we need to be at the recommended speeds for landing, which is around 130 knots. So let's plan for it before time. We continue to descend towards our 3000 altitude, and our diamond for the glide slope has appeared. It's moving towards the center line, but it's quite slower, and we are still in the process of lining up with the runway. We are more towards the right of it. We have to make a slight right and then left movement to get lined up. The slow speed of localizer moving towards the center line is giving me a heart attack, because I do not want to overshoot the airport and fail to land. It's moving. So what I've done, I've added flaps 3 to further slow down the plane, so we have ample distance to capture the localizer and descend towards the runway for landing. So these are the clicks of thrust levers. These keep clicking on their own, and it happens mostly with fly-by-wire mod, sometimes in standard version of the A320 as well. And I think the localizer is closer to center line, as is the glide slope. And I hope anytime the plane will start descending on our glide slope. Yeah, so you see altitude's color has changed. Glide slope is in the process of being captured, and anytime it should switch to glide slope now. The localizer has been captured, and we have both the glide slope and localizer captured, and the plane has started descending. So I've added flaps full, and it's now time to lower the landing gear, and let's make preparations for landing. So let's set the auto brakes to medium, and let's arm the speed brakes. and let's wait. So let's display the ILS and the landing system information, and we are perfectly aligned. It's a nice sunny morning. From here it looks so slow, the plane. When I was reading today, the World Update 6 has been postponed by another week, so it's gonna be released on September 6th or something like that. You know, it was earlier planned to be released in a couple of days in the last week of August, but now it's moved to September 1, stating, you know, high quality as the reasons, and I think it's fair enough. So let's change, you know, the time of the day. So you want to do an evening landing. We had a morning takeoff. Let's do an evening landing, just a mix of sunlight and the city lights. Yeah, that about seems to be the right mixture that I like. Beautiful lights on the ground with sun setting in the background. We are perfectly aligned, descending decently. Anytime we are going to listen to the call out of 500. It's around 150, 200. I'll be turning off the autopilot. And I'm going to do a manual landing.
300. 200.
Let's turn off the autopilot and using diamonds
100.
as the guide, let's stay aligned with the runway.
50, 40,
let's flare,
30, 20, retard, 5.
Slight bump, not bad. I'm still working on my landing, so no complaints. Let's line up with the runway. Reverse thrust test kicked in. I'm getting clearance for taxiing to a gate or a ramp. As soon as we have the clearance wheel, the assistance markers will be displayed. Right, so let's make a left turn here. So once we are off the runway, what we need to do is just slow down the plane, just engage the parking brakes, and what we want to do, we want to turn on the APU. So what this will do is the plane is parked, you can safely switch on the engines while displays are still on. So those will be on APU, and when you are parked you can turn on the external power, which will keep supporting the APU. So now we can release the parking brakes and move towards our desired taxi gate. So I'm gonna tell you, this will be the longest taxiing on arrival that I've ever done. Yeah, so bear with me. So there we are. Finally we have reached. So let's now slow down. We are overshooting in a way, so let's slow down and slowly move towards our destination. So there's the guy. He's gonna help us align with that yellow marker. Let's slow down. I think we are too fast. Yeah. So let's line up. So he's still saying we have to move forward. So let's have a side view from the outside of the plane so that we can see that yellow marker, and we have to fly to the end of that yellow line. Let's see what he's saying now. So maybe a little further. Right. And that's thumbs up. So we can now engage parking brake, and we can now turn on the external power that is available to help APU in case we have to switch off the engines, which we are just gonna do now. Let's switch off the engines, and now what we can do, we can safely switch off the APUs, we can switch off the external power, and we can switch off the batteries. So guys, this is about how to descend and how to do an ILS landing. This was part 3 of the 3-part series. So I hope you found this series useful, because I think having an understanding of the basics of flight planning and configuring the aircraft for flying, and then doing an ILS landing, these are the basics and these are the essentials to enjoy your flight simulation experience inside any flight simulator. And the top flight simulator these days is MSFS 2020, as you know all. So I hope you found this series useful. Do give it thumbs up, and let me know your comments, your suggestions in the comments below, and do subscribe to my channel. So hope you had fun, and I hope to see you in my next videos with more tutorials coming around. So see you and bye bye.